As the pandemic continues, the United States now has over 5 million confirmed COVID-19 cases.
It's the final day of the St. Paul Italian Festival. We're checking in with organizers to see how they're adapting to this year's changes.
And a busy Sunday for Erie fire crews as a two-story garage goes up in flames.
Live in high definition from your news leader, this is 1024 Action News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Brian Wilk. A grim milestone for the United States. We now have over 5 million confirmed COVID-19 cases. This as our economy continues to struggle and millions are still without work. ABC's Deirdre Bolton has the story.
The United States, now with 5 million confirmed cases and more than 162,000 deaths from coronavirus. The pandemic throwing the economy into crisis. Millions of unemployed Americans have been relying on the $600 a week supplemental federal unemployment payment, a benefit that expired on July 31st. Talks on Capitol Hill to extend those payments collapsed on Friday.
Therefore, I'm taking executive action. We've had it.
On Saturday, President Trump bypassing Congress, signing 4 executive actions.
Through these 4 actions, my administration will provide immediate and vital relief to Americans struggling in this difficult time.
The president seeking to restore unemployment benefits, but slashing the weekly checks to $400, requesting that states share the cost. Also, minimizing evictions, suspending interest on federal student loans, and enacting payroll tax cuts. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi not mincing words.
In fact, what the president did is, I agree with the Republican senator said, it was unconstitutional slop. While it has the illusion of saying we're going to have a moratorium on evictions, it says I'm going to ask the folks in charge to study if that's feasible. While he says he's going to do the payroll tax, what he's doing is undermining Social Security and Medicare.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says that's not the case.
That's just factually inaccurate. There'd be no reduction to those benefits, and the president's made that very clear.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling the executive orders unworkable.
Most states will take months to implement it because it's brand new. It's sort of put together with spit and paste.
But the president's top economic advisor disagrees.
The states are the ones that process the federal benefits before, so I don't see any reason why it'd be all that difficult.
There's also the question of whether states can afford to chip in 25% of that $400 benefit.
The answer is I don't know yet, but I think what really needs to happen is Congress needs to get back in and negotiate.
So far, no word yet on whether Trump administration officials and Democratic leadership will resume negotiations. Deirdre Bolton, ABC News, New York.
Nothing.
And here are the latest COVID-19 numbers for Erie County, the state, and the surrounding areas. Here in Erie County, the Department of Health reporting 8 new positive cases, bringing the total number to over 1,100, and 26 deaths reported. Across the Commonwealth, the Pennsylvania Department of Health reports 760 additional positive cases, bringing the statewide total to nearly 119,000 cases. And there was 1 new death, bringing that total to 7,314. Crawford County is now reporting 144 cases, including 3 new cases. Warren County reporting 23. Chautauqua County, New York reporting 255. And Ashtabula County, Ohio is holding at 569 cases. And North Carolina's strongest earthquake in nearly a century rattled the region along the Virginia border. The 5.1 earthquake hit Sunday morning about 2 miles away from the town of Sparta. Now, people in places as far away as South Carolina and Georgia felt the quake. Now, a sheriff in Allegheny County, Georgia, says many homes have structural damage. Some have had to leave because it's not safe inside their homes. And Sparta's mayor says there were no immediate reports of any injuries. And COVID-19 didn't stop the 40th annual Italian Festival at St. Mark's Catholic Church. Star Bodie spoke with the organizers of the Italian Festival on how they adapted to changes and kept traditions going. She joins us in the studio with more. Hey, Star.
Hi, Brian. While the virus has changed many summer festivities, the organizers of the Italian Festival say this is an important tradition that always brings people together. It's It's a taste of Italy with a few changes.
We served the purpose that we wanted. We didn't quit, and we stayed intact, and we'll prepare for next year. We didn't want to stop because sometimes to get started again is a hard thing to do.
Thousands of people stopped by car and picked up their spaghetti and meatballs and their cannolis too at the 40th annual St. Paul's Italian Festival. DeVecchio tells us while they didn't know what to expect for a drive-through, the weekend-long festival was smooth sailing.
A lot of pre-order. In fact, today we had 900 and some spaghetti dinners pre-ordered.
More than 130 volunteers adapted to the changes and dedicated their weekend to taking orders, running food to cars, and preparing the meatballs in the kitchen. While this year's festival has changed as a safety precaution, organizers and volunteers tell me that the traditions must go on.
My parents usually come. They can't come this year because of the COVID virus, but we do miss that. But we still have camaraderie amongst the volunteers and the people who pull up. If you recognize them, you have a little conversation, so it's okay.
The three-day-long festival also concluded with a mass celebrated by Bishop Lawrence Persico. Now, organizers say they still believe they will bring in about half the revenue compared to years before, where they saw about 8,000 people. Brian?
Thank you, Star. A two-story detached garage went up in flames in Erie. Erie fire crews responded to the 1400 block of West 31st Street, where they found the garage fully engulfed in flames. Now, crews were able to knock down the fire quickly, but the building is considered a total loss. There were no injuries reported, and the cause is under investigation. And one person is dead after a wreck in Jamestown, New York. According to New York State Police, this happened on I-86 near Jamestown's exit 12 around 5 a.m. One vehicle drove off the eastbound on-ramp and the driver was killed at the scene. The Falconer Fire Department and Chautauqua County Emergency Services were dispatched to the scene. And coming up on Jet 24 Action News at 11 over in Girard, fire crews were doing some real-world training. That's after Craig's forecast. Hey, Craig.
Ryan, some like it hot, and if you are a fan of summery weather, see my forecast. It's coming up next.
From your news leader, you're watching Brian Wilt, meteorologist Craig Flint, and Mike Fenner with sports.